Well, good morning, good evening, or good night, depending on where, or good afternoon, sorry, depending on where you are in the world today. Today we have the lovely Anita, and Anita was kind enough to ask me how to pronounce my name. But Anita, your surname, how do I pronounce that again?
It's Olivacce.
Olivacce, okay. Is that Italian?
Everyone asks me that, but I'm not sure. Maybe.
Okay, interesting. Very, very interesting indeed. So, Anita, as I say, we're very happy to have you here. Anita is one of the speakers coming up on August the 14th for the Wellness Lifestyle Conference. And we'd love to hear a bit more about you, Anita. Tell us about your journey and what got you to this point in your life where you're wanting to share your truth and your life purpose with the world.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks for that. That's a great question. So I think I've always been interested in something more, like even from a young age, like the meaning of life. I was always asking questions.
Hmm.
Yeah, just going beyond what we usually see. So I've always kind of been interested in something else, like the spirituality. And I think it was like 2008, I started having this spiritual awakening. At the time, I was at university and I was also working two jobs. So I was really like stressed, but used to it,
Right.
just going in that kind of fast pace. And yeah, I remember just asking the question, like, why am I here? What's this all about? I felt empty inside, like I felt a
Mm,
bit fake. Um, and I wanted some truth. I wanted like a deeper connection, and I wanted to be authentic. And so then it just kind of led me on this path of exploring an alternative way of living and being in the world. And so then, yeah, that led me into exploring things like meditation and yoga, and yeah, going on to teach it. And then recently, I just did some training with Intuition Wisdom Institute, and that's where I
hmm.
really learned how to heal trauma and discover my life
Wow.
purpose. So, yeah, it's kind
Wow.
of been the journey of just expanding into more and more truth.
Oh, I just got chills as you said, expanding into more and more truth, because I feel like that's what so many of us kind of go through. I love the fact that you brought up, you always had this kind of inkling. And then eventually, I think life just gets too much. And you go, hang on, this can't be all that there is. There has to be more purpose than just the 9 to 5 rat race. So I find that really, really intriguing. Um, what would you say? Oh, excuse me. Would you say that there was maybe a defining, when I say defining moment, was there kind of an aha moment when you're sitting in meditation that kind of went, right, done with this, I'm going in a different direction? Or was it just kind of a gradual progression that you were able to move through?
Yeah, I think it was maybe a mix of both, but I think it was a gradual progression because
Hmm.
there were many different instances where it was um, like this isn't for me. I don't like the way this like where there's no connection between others. It's more like just a surface level talking, like how are
Mm,
you doing, and there's no deeper. It felt like there was no deeper substance in me, so it just kept kind of adding up, and then it was just like, no, I need something else. Yeah.
right.
Mm.
You've raised a very interesting point there about, and this is not to point fingers at society in general, but it's something that I've noticed as well. There is definitely a level of superficiality across the board, whether
Mm.
that's in the lives that we lead or whether that's in the interactions that we have with even our friends. My question off the back of that, not to put you on the spot or anything, but do you think that as a culture we have become almost afraid of living truth?
It's a really good question. I think, yeah, there are many kind of fears underneath, and it's all to do with kind of conditioning from that young age
Hmm. Hmm.
of just like you said, being in society and what you're supposed to do and who you're supposed to be. So yeah, I do feel that many of us are afraid to step out of what's normal or comfortable, and be different and just walk our own path and live our truth. So yeah, I definitely feel that. And so yeah,
Hmm.
it's yeah. Mm,
As you were talking about that, I was just thinking about my own experiences with stepping into my own truth. And for our listeners who've heard me talk about this before as well, and I think Anita, you probably agree with this. It's not a one and done process. It's not something that you go, well, I'm going to live my truth and that's it, and you're done. It's kind of this every day you have to commit to living your truth because it's difficult. You constantly do have a fear that you're not going to be fully accepted, that things are not going to quite go your way. What is society expecting of me? I think is a big one. Um, so that for me has always been very difficult. When I kind of had my awakening journey initially, there was a lot of fear and trepidation. That was, definitive for me, where I sat and I went, gosh, I have to do this now with my life and I have to commit to this. But everybody who's known me up until this point is going to go, well, who the heck are you? Because you're not the same person I knew, a year ago. And you're not, well, in my estimation, you're not the same person because you have gone through an evolution, you have gone through a metamorphosis in order to be in that life purpose and in that truth. Is that something that you would tend to agree with? And how do
yeah.
you navigate that?
Yeah, definitely. Wow. Thank you for sharing about your own journey. It's really interesting to
My
listen
pleasure.
to. Yeah, I really I agree, and I really think it takes courage to stand out there on your own, and self-belief, as well. And
Mm,
as you mentioned, we're always changing and evolving. So even right now in this moment, the next moment we're going to be totally different. So yeah, it's about following your own truth. And other people, they may have different perceptions of how you used to be or how they
hmm.
see you, but it's about being true to yourself and honoring that. So it really
Right.
takes, yeah, commitment, like you said, and courage to just keep going. And we're always changing, so always staying what's the word, like on the pulse, like, like right now, rather
Yes.
than falling back into old ways and patterns. Yeah, just being conscious.
Being conscious, and that is so important. You've brought up something that I think is so crucial for anybody who is starting their journey, and I think people need to remember this. It's that even if you start your journey or if you've committed to it and you've been on it for a while, we tend to forget that those patterns were there for maybe 20 or 30 years before we started this awakening, before we started that purposeful truthfulness in our lives. So those patterns, even though we've decided not to go with them, they're still there under the surface. And it can be very easy to, as you say, fall back into that. I think anybody who's struggled with a diet will tell you it's exactly the same thing.
Mm.
You commit for a week, sometimes even a month or 2 months, and then you have one bad day, and out come all the things that you know are bad for you. So I think it's kind of the same thing. It's easy to slip back into those old habits.
Mm.
But Anita, I'm very keen to hear a little bit more about the work that you actually do with people and with, well, the world at large. And first of all, thank you so much for being what I consider to be a light worker, because I think it's such incredible work that is necessary. I always say to my friends and co-workers as well, who say, "Oh, but we're all light workers." I'm like, no, I'm more of a shadow worker, so I work with people one on one. But I find light workers tend to be so deeply committed to their practice that they just automatically are shining light out and lifting the vibration of the planet. So I'd like to thank you for that,
Mm.
but ask you a bit more about what that work looks like for you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so I think recently I've been really working, and it kind of relates to what you just mentioned about our patterns. So
Mm-hmm.
recently I've been working with people around depression and healing the root cause of depression. So looking in the subconscious mind, and that's kind of the training that I did to identify what's causing depression or unhappiness, and then just sharing truths from their higher self to heal that. So it's
Mm.
kind of, yeah, so looking at the subconscious beliefs going on under the surface that are causing that unhappiness, and then bringing that healing from that higher level. And
Amazing. I'm definitely going to refer a few of my contacts to you because that is very much something that has been cropping up quite a lot over the last couple of months with several of my clients, actually. Um, and my advice is always, in the short term, yes, go and see a doctor, get medication if it's necessary to help you through the initial stages. But the moment you have that clarity of mind, find someone like Anita Olivacce and work with her so that you're not dependent on medication, but instead can actually heal your own psyche from within. I think that is so incredible.
mm,
Now, one of the things that you mentioned in the list of topics that you wanted to discuss today, which I was really excited when I saw, because this is what I keep saying to my clients, even to my friends as well, when they ask me questions, they go, "Oh, what's this? What's that?" I'm like, find the answers within. They're right there. You can do it. Tell me a little bit about what that means for you, though, finding the answers within.
perfect. So yeah, it means about turning within
Mm-hmm.
and going to that place of stillness, that's beyond the mind. And then you can just pose a question and the answer comes back. So it means connecting with your deeper self, your inner self, which is infinite. And that's where all the answers exist. Um, and this part of ourselves, some people may call it the soul. It's
Mm-hmm.
connected to everything else as well. This oneness. So we can tap into that at any point, any time. All through the day, if we're wanting to make a decision, we can just tune into
Mm.
that place, that intuition, and come from that place as we go through our days. And so then we're guiding our lives on truth and on purpose. So that's what it means to me, learning to access those answers within, and yeah, becoming still enough to hear them.
And is that what you then mean? Because, well, I'm going to maybe ask a couple of leading questions here. So please feel free to say, no, no, that's not what I meant at all. But I would, for me, going within and asking myself questions and being able to discern what is sort of just the monkey brain chattering away and a false answer versus what is deeply resonant truth is, for me at least, incredibly empowering. I feel like because I then know, and if my inflection wasn't clear enough, the no was in capital letters, KNOW. I know that this is the path that I need to take. And when that happens, it's a lot easier for me to, without any form of antagonization or combativeness or anything like that, just accept that my boundaries are there and they are not going to be crossed, and very gently say to anything that comes along my way that might be wanting to shift me off that path that, thank you for your suggestion, but not right now. And I can then stick to my truth. That for me is very empowering. Is that what you mean by a freedom mindset?
Yeah, I think it totally relates, what you just spoke about. It's like self-love as well, putting yourself
Mm.
first and honoring your own truth. So definitely it all relates. I think, yeah, freedom mindset. Um, in that list of things I mentioned about freedom, it's like being free from the mind. So I'm actually going
Right.
beyond it. Yeah. So we're going beyond belief systems and entering that space of truth that's beyond that. We like to call it. universal intelligence
Mm.
that everything is connected to, that field of intelligence that has all the answers. And that's all we're tapping into. So, yeah, it's all related.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then, of course, to me, that leads to happiness. But by happiness, of course, we don't mean, jumping up and down for joy. It's more a contented happiness. I think actually, um, if I had to put an image to it, it would be Anita's face because you just look so radiantly happy and centered in yourself. And I can only imagine that that comes from being connected to your higher truth, which I think is
Oh,
really
thank
incredible.
you. Thank you, Stefan.
Something I'd like to ask in regards to your work before we start wrapping up this interview is, and I don't want you to give away the secret sauce or anything like that on this, but what are sort of the steps that somebody can expect you to take them through if they started to work with you?
Yeah. Um, so I think the first step is to get connected with their truth and their higher
Hmm.
self so they can start accessing their answers within, and also learning how to heal their own subconscious beliefs, because those two elements combined together really empower you on your journey, being able to access the answers to any question you have. And then
Mm.
if you come up against a roadblock, like you can't take that next step, whatever it is, then you can tune in and see what the block is in your subconscious mind and clear it and heal it with truth from your higher self. So that's kind of the foundation. And then from there, going on to self love and discovering your life purpose. That's the
Fantastic.
process.
Oh, amazing. That sounds both incredible and incredibly scary at the same time. 'Cause again, speaking from personal experience, when I kind of my awakening was a little bit more, I won't say violent, but definitely a little bit more turbulent, where I kind of felt like the universe was smacking up me upside my head, like an older sister, and going, "Come on now, you got to pull yourself together and get the show on the road." Um,
Mhm.
and that was incredibly scary for me because finding out my life purpose was like, gosh, but I've been doing this my whole life, for 35 years.
Mhm.
Am I ready to go in another direction? Or is it a case of, you can't teach an old dog new tricks? So for me, that was really frightening, but I can attest to what Anita is saying. When you do start to clear those subconscious blocks, you do start to find real happiness within, which I think is just incredible. So,
Yeah.
Anita, in regards to how clients can get in touch with you, who would like to work with you, who want to clear those subconscious blocks, who are really interested in connecting with their higher selves and finding their true purpose, how do they go about doing that?
Yeah. They can check out my website. It's guidedbyessence.com. Or if they wanted to contact me by email, it's Anita at guidedbyessence.com.
Fantastic, fantastic. And that will be in the description of this video as well, whether you're watching this on YouTube or on Facebook or on Instagram, wherever we've shared this. That will be in the description as well. So please do feel free to get in touch with Anita. Now, as I mentioned at the outset, Anita is one of our upcoming speakers on the Wellness Lifestyle Conference on August the 14th. Anita, maybe you'd like to just give us a quick 20-second or 30-second introductions to what your talk is going to be on.
Yeah. Um, so the talk's going to be about going from, I'm speaking in that talk more about going from a place of unhappiness, depression, and maybe like feeling unfulfilled to
Hmm.
living your life purpose. And yeah,
Fantastic.
the steps you can take.
And I think that that is definitely so important for the times that we are living in right now. I think we've said the word unprecedented so much in the last 18 months. It's become not so unprecedented anymore.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are definitely feeling the weight of the world around them and the weight of their own lives, I suppose. And they're wanting more. They're realizing that this cannot be all that there is. So if that resonates with you, please do get in touch with Anita, and she'll be able to help you. And please be certain to tune in to the Wellness Lifestyle Conference, which will be on August the 14th. We'll be streaming most of our interviews live here, or talks rather, live here on YouTube. And replays can be caught on YouTube as well as on our website. Anita, thank you so much for taking time out of your day. I know it is super early in the morning for you there in the UK. So really, really grateful. And we look forward to having you in a couple of weeks' time.
Thank you, Stefan.
Thanks.